Rev up your engines. Now, today you're going to learn a lesson that somebody else learned, but you're not going to have to pay for it. You got a Genesis here, and they recommended flushing the automatic transmission at around 60,000 miles or so, right? He did, and ever since then, the transmission has not worked right. I see this all the time. This is why you often don't listen to what they tell you at the dealer, because they are money-making machines. They want to make money. The car's well out of warranty. They're not going to fix anything free. Now, the Genesis are great cars to drive when they're new, but as they age, they can get very expensive to repair. Normally, they're not going to have transmission problems with 60-something thousand miles. If you didn't do anything to them, usually 140, 150, maybe the trannies will start to go out. But right after he had it changed, it started to have problems. Now, you look under the hood, it's got a nice V6 GDI engine, timing chain, you know. They're solid engines, but unfortunately, they told him at the dealer, oh, you need to flush your automatic transmission, which he did. You can see the interior, you know, other than a few cracks in the leather, it's still in good shape. These are very luxurious cars, and that's how they sell them. They're also very fast cars. He got 28 miles a gallon driving here on the highway, not bad for a fast luxury car that has transmission problems now. It's rated at 29, he got 28, you can't complain about that. But we're gonna get my scan tool because he's got transmission problems, and we're gonna see what the computer says first before we even road test it. So in we go, turn on the old computer. Hyundai, it's a Genesis, but technically Hyundai makes them. Genesis USA, 3.8 GDI. Next thing we're gonna do is an auto scan. We'll go through the whole thing. Look at that baby whipping through it. It's really flying here. And while it is, I mean, they're beautiful cars inside, you know, there's no arguing that. They're very comfy. The problem I find with the Genesis is, as they age, they become endless money pits. Now, this thing doesn't have that many miles on it, so, you know, it's got 85,000 miles now. But the tranny started acting up at 65,000 miles or so after he had the fluid flushed at the dealer. It's only got 2 actual codes. An airbag lamp failure that we don't care about, and ignition voltage is low. Well, at some point in time, the battery has probably changed. Nobody reset it, so we'll erase it all. What we want to look at is the automatic transmission data. We're going to look at the live data, start her up. Now, if you notice, it doesn't have any bad data yet, but we're not moving yet. And when we look at the transmission trouble codes, it doesn't have any. But that doesn't mean diddly squat, because trouble codes often won't trip until you're plus or minus 20% off normal data, right? You can feel it shifting, weird, acting up, but guess what? It's not over 20% off, so the computer doesn't trip any codes. So we're gonna take it for a road test while he drives, and I'm gonna watch the data. So now as we're driving, I'm gonna watch this data. I'm watching for various anomalies. We're already in 5th gear. You can see these things shift up pretty fast. That's how they get better gas mileage for a giant car. You can see there's no trouble codes. Now I'm watching the solenoid valves as they're shifting from gear to gear. And some are normal and some are low. You can see 1100, 1080, that's what you want to see. And if you saw valve V for a short period of time, it actually went negative. Now again, you see those are all the same, but then these ones go way too low. It's upshifting good, and none of the data's gone into the red, but like I say, the solenoids should all be pretty much the same, and they're not. 1100, 1080 milliamps, you can see some of them, they just stay too low, and one even went negative. He just got it, I felt a little clunk on it. Now it's not horrible, but this is a luxury car, and you're gonna notice every little damn thing that goes wrong with it, right? Now I guarantee if you took it to the dealer, they'd just think, oh, that guy's nuts, there's nothing wrong with the car. I can feel it. Humans can feel things. We can feel a lot more than plus or minus 20%, right? Some people can feel 1% or 2%. Now, it's not physically broke down. There's no red data, it's not horrible data. There are no transmission codes, but it never did it until he got the transmission flushed, which is why I tell people, do not flush your transmission, because there's all kinds of little valves and holes, and a flush machine runs pressure, and if there's any dirt, it will push the pressure. Sometimes it'll jam it against a valve and it will be stuck inside. Now, it's not horrible, but you feel the jitters. and he's often taking 500-mile trips. He bought it because it's a luxury car, and he doesn't like this jiggling on the highway. Once you get going, you don't feel anything because top gear, right? And it gets good gas mileage, it runs fine, the AC's freezing cold, but that shuddering drives him crazy at times because it didn't do it until he got it flushed. Now, of course, like I say, the dealer isn't going to do anything about it. It's out of warranty because of its age, and they would just say there's nothing wrong because, as you saw in my scan tool, there was no red bad data, there were no codes, and they'd just say, oh, that's normal, that's how they are. They would say that anyways, right? But it didn't do it until he got it flushed. Now, the only solution that might be cheap is Lube Guard makes a really good anti-slip additive. And I'm telling you, the next time he gets his oil changed, have the guy just drain out, if there's like 12 ounces in the bottle, drain out 12 ounces of transmission fluid, put 12 ounces of the Lube Guard friction additive that's anti-shudder, and I've seen sometimes 250, 300 miles later, it stops doing it, if he's lucky. But, see, the problem is, that was a pressure flush, and it could have flushed such that the pressure was too much, and it might have messed with the baffles in the torque converter, and then you would have to replace the torque converter. But sometimes the anti-shudder stuff works, so he's going to give that a try, and we'll keep up with it. But learn from him. Never, ever, ever have your automatic transmission flushed. Don't care what the dealer says. If they say flush it, don't listen to them. Because if he wouldn't have flushed it, I guarantee it wouldn't be doing what it's doing now. Because I've seen these things with 90,000 miles on them that had never been touched. The fluid was never even taken out of them. And they still shifted perfectly fine. They didn't have this problem. The problem arose because this pressure was induced into the system that it shouldn't have. So, listen to me. Do not flush automatic transmissions. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, the feds keep pushing electric vehicles, right? The reason they're pushing them is because people don't want them, so they're trying to shove them down our throat. This is an editorial by a guy who knows what he's talking about. And I quote, "The harsh realities of EVs are the reason regulatory agencies are trying so hard to force ever more vehicles on the road to be electrified. And they are insulating them from democratic accountability." As per usual, it's become a belief with these people in power, right? This is their belief. The pollutants that are created building these electric cars is insane. There's not the electricity to charge, and there's no infrastructure, yet they push on. People buy these people, they're great, they're phenomenal, you know? As they're probably riding around in limos that are powered by gasoline too much. It's like Al Gore when he was trying to be Mr. Greenie, right? But he's got this house. Takes a fortune to air condition it in the summer and to heat it in the winter, right? Talk about not being green. The biggest hypocrites on the planet. And they're trying to push this electrification, which is not ready for. People's lifestyles do not fit in with them in the United States. Maybe in Europe, okay. They take a lot of trains and stuff. Then they can have a little electric car at the end for the end use thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But trying to push this electric stuff on Americans doesn't fit. And they're going to find out if they keep pushing this crap. A few people start buying them and find out how they don't work. Guess what's going to happen to these politicians? They're going to kick them out of office the next time there's an election. You're the idiots that try to force us into these electric cars we had to spend all this money for. We can't get to where we're going. Now our electric bills are higher. Out you go. At least there's some accountability. You know, somebody's going to be blamed for the giant rat's nest that's being built by these fools that think this is going to save anything. And of course the corporations go along because the government tells people they have to buy electric cars. The corporations build them, they're going to sell them, so they're all for it. Hey, the government's saying they got to buy electric cars. Oh yeah, and they're giving us billions to build them? Sure, yeah, great, you know. What do they care? They're just trying to sell products. They don't care about anything else. The Siemens wind turbine flop goes further on. A lot of places are starting to cancel their wind turbine orders because they're showing that it's been a gigantic con pulled on people. On Monday, Siemens, a big company in Europe, makes a bunch of these wind turbines, had to put down a $2.4 billion loss because of problems with Siemens Gamesa, the wind turbine stuff, right? So now they're going to have a net loss of 4.5 billion euros. That's closing in on $5 billion for their fiscal year that ends in September 2023. And that is 3 times more loss than the financial people predicted. They've been lying the whole time about how great they are. And then, oh, gee, they're breaking. They don't work. They don't last that long, right? You know, whenever they say, well, it's got an estimated lifespan of 25 years. Yeah, then they break in 10 years, 9 years, right? Oh, I guess we were wrong about that. And then who ends up paying for it? Either the investors in the company, or in the case of the United States, the government subsidizes all this stuff, so your taxpayer dollars are flushed either down the toilet or into the ocean where they're building them now. Now they're talking about pausing to add more wind capacity, right? They kept saying, no, greener, we're making more and more and more. No, they aren't. Global turbine installations have dropped 20% in 2022 as compared to 2021. Keep saying they're going to build more. They've actually built less. And it's below 32% of what it was in 2020. Oh, yeah, we're going to build more. It's going to be the future. Well, it looks like it's more the past than the future, people. Because people are finding out it doesn't generate the power they want. It doesn't last as long as they said. People find them annoying. They make noise. Woof, woof, woof. They make flashing lights when the sun comes up and the sun goes down. The handwriting's on the wall for this stuff now. When they really got to make money, they'd say, well, we're going to make profits. It's going to be a great thing. They're finding out, no, it isn't. And a bunch of companies are canceling orders. And people that own companies that are presently building turbines, they're trying to sell the turbines that they're building off. Oh, great investment, people. You know, they're not finished yet. We're building them, but how'd you like to buy them? We're kind of tired of them, you know? The rats are indeed jumping off the ship, people. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.